Let us take a look at this short AV on Lieutenant General Pendharkar.
Amid unforgiving frontiers where resolve meets reality, commands a strategist forging India's unbreakable shield. Lieutenant General Abhijit Pendharkar, Ati Vishesh Seva Medal, Youth Seva Medal, General Officer Commanding 3 Corps. Commissioned into the Assam Regiment in 1990, he led counter-insurgency operations in Jammu and Kashmir and commanded divisions along the line of control with tactical precision and iron resolve. Decorated with Ati Vishisht Seva Medal, Yuddha Seva Medal, Chief of the Army Staff Commendation and GOC in C Central Command Commendation, his service reflects both valor and vision. 34 years of courage, from securing borders to uniting the Northeast in spirit and strength. Ladies and gentlemen, Lieutenant General Abhijit Pendharkar, AVSM, YSM, the spear that guards India's sovereign edge.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join us in welcoming Lieutenant General Abhijit Pendharkar to the stage for his special address on border management to battle space readiness. Sir, the stage is yours.
So, after a terrific address by General Bakshi, followed by really sumptuous lunch, which I hope does not put us to sleep. So, it's my privilege to begin the next session, which is on the neighborhood watch. So, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to all of you. At the outset, I would like to thank the Center for Land Warfare Studies and Republic Defense Group for organizing this rather strategically enriching Forces First Conclave and inviting me for the same. It is indeed my proud privilege to speak before this august gathering at a time when the world is witnessing dynamic political shifts. The pace of change is such that events of great consequence may be unfolding even as we speak. Technological transformation are reshaping national security paradigm, and in this context, today's topic, border management to battle space readiness, holds immense significance. The essence of this discussion lies not merely in the physical understanding of borders, but in understanding what borders truly represent. That is, the history, the legacy, and the emotions they evoke amongst people. The challenge before us, thus, is to understand all these diverse dimensions in order to evolve into a unified and responsive management system. Sindoor has clearly demonstrated that borders can quickly become theaters for multi-domain long-range operations, and we must recognize the same. As I mentioned earlier, the world is in a volatile flux, wherein almost on a daily basis, we hear and learn of new conflict zones emerging, with previous ones still awaiting resolution. At the heart of most conflicts often lies the legacy border issues between the said nations. It may interest you to know that across the world, 60% of border segments are either contested in principle or being fought for violently. Over 90 plus nations are involved directly or indirectly in border conflicts, which my friend Chandpuria mentioned were about 110 now. So what does the border entail actually? At the core are the people of both affected nations. The historical perceptions, legacy laws, common terrain, emotions superimposed with political drives and geostrategic constraints influence how nations guard, do business across or manage the said borders. The same is done either by policing by the concerned border guarding force or by enforcing own perceptions militarily through dense deployments, holding, guarding, or patrolling every inch of the said border. We need to appreciate that borders exist everywhere and they run the risk of being contested. We often miss the fact that most conflicts around the world stem from border-related issues. But the larger point remains, borders should actually serve to regulate relations between nations, not become the cause of new confrontations. So what does drive border exploitation? It is maybe the greed or self-perceived right to gain more of what is available, more resources, more landmass, more of everything. Social and geopolitical issues, economic disparity, and demographic issues that exist between neighbors that often manifest into borders being exploited. Coupled with all this are the dark business structures of narcotics, human trafficking, weapon smuggling, and the devious intent to push state and non-state actors to create instability in the neighboring nation. The sum total being that any nation which primarily wants well-being of its citizens cannot allow its borders to be exploited or land be encroached upon. In our national context, we have over 15,000 kilometers of the land borders and over 7,500 kilometers of the maritime zone spread across almost 7 different categories, to include the international boundary, the line of control, the line of actual control, and so on, with equal types of varied terrain from deserts to the glaciers, with up to almost 4,500 kilometers of these borders under some kind of a dispute. The border guarding forces of our nation face a daunting challenge to cover this vast, varied landscape. The overlap of multiple border guarding agencies and different bilateral arrangements across each of these borders makes the task immensely complex, wherein every sector requires different type of handling mechanisms and modus operandi. Amidst it all, we must, and we do, respect the ground realities and the emotions of people on either side. While we have a roti beti ka rishta with Nepal and the erstwhile free, which is now restricted, move regime with Myanmar, these stand as examples of our sensitivity to the ground realities and the shared emotions of the people living on both sides of these borders, something not mirrored with our other neighboring nations. At the heart of the complete concept is the whole of nation approach, wherein borders are required to be looked from perspective of national security, with ultimate aim being to respect all, but finally keeping our national interest and sovereignty paramount. Now, since I am coming from the Northeast, this is an excellent platform to present the Eastern Theatre to you. Border management in the Northeast involves looking after 5 nations spread across more than 8,000 kilometers of frontage, ranging from fenced, unfenced, open, troop-intensive, and some portions still being fenced. The challenges that the border guarding forces face in Northeast are immense, with unmarked borders, insurgencies, and the impact of external factors like cross-border smuggling of arms and narcotics, shadowed under the influence of some neighboring nations. Added to this are the natural and logistical hardships, the difficult terrain, unpredictable weather, remoteness of location, extreme climatic conditions, sparse population, poor connectivity, and infrastructural bottlenecks that test both the military and the civil administration in equal measure. Hence, the broad question remains, do we have enough focus on our borders? And here, I would like to take one of the terms which you would often see on a border road as you are moving on the borders made by the roads made by the BRO, Savdhani hati, Durghatna ghati. The conundrum will always remain, but our eyes can never be taken off it. One has to remain alert at all times, constantly attuned to the myriad signs and subtle indicators along these frontiers, with the internal dynamics of some of our neighbors in a perpetual state of fluidity, border management in the Northeast is an ever-evolving and dynamic endeavor, demanding the highest level of coordination amongst all stakeholders. Compounding these challenges is the shadow cast by greater powers, most prominently China, over our neighborhood. Over more than a year now, we have also witnessed the growing involvement of Pakistan in Bangladesh's domestic and geopolitical affairs, adding yet another layer of complexity to the Northeast security calculus. As we understand the challenges before us, the prevailing concept has been to guard the borders physically with fences and troops. This approach gained emphasis in the 1990s with the aim of creating administratively controlled infrastructure, posts, watchtowers, and fencing to sustain, survive, and prevent intrusions. While this was necessary at this time, the method largely leaned upon policing rather than agile, dynamic response. In doing so, we have probably been slow to adapt to the rapidly evolving nature of border infringements. Today's global and regional threat landscape is marked by hybrid warfare, rising cross-border illegal activities, the growing influx of undocumented refugees, and warfare evolving across multiple domains. Added to this is the power of advanced technology in the hands of individuals, amplifying the reach of non-state actors. With Sindoor being a defining point, it is now quite clear that the shadow of an active western border with constant pressure from our northern and eastern borders is the new normal we have to live with and prepare for. Over the past decade, we have witnessed a rapidly changing threat landscape, marked by the proliferation of weapons, drugs, ethnic conflict in the Northeast, including significant demographic shifts in Assam and West Bengal. This, coupled with the volatility of the western borders and further compounded by major standoffs on the northern borders, may have exposed some inadequacies in adapting to the new strategic realities. With the ever-advancing capabilities of our adversaries, the imperative to transform and evolve has never been greater. It's not the time to sit back and deliberate. It is the time to act decisively. It is indeed the time to start thinking of our borders as battle spaces and view our borders through the lens of urgent preparedness, for when called upon, we must be unyielding. Sindoor stands as a powerful reminder and a call to action, demanding that each one of us accelerate our commitments, sharpen our resolve, and stand unwavering in defense of the nation. Of course, we do face significant challenges by way of legacy systems and processes, interagency coordination issues, logistical difficulties across harsh terrain and weather, technology integration, and sustaining this transformation economically as a developing nation. The collusive nature of our adversary, with one nation effectively influencing all others, has exponential impact too. However, what probably hurts us most are the slow pace of our processes and execution. Unlike our adversaries, who benefit from streamlined, linear, and authoritative system that enable rapid infrastructure and have faster growth, our processes, born out of our democratic values of inclusion, deliberation, and transparency, tend to be slow and tardy, leading to delays that unforgivingly create gaps in all domains that become increasingly difficult to bridge. However, with the strong intent being demonstrated over the years now at the highest levels, all present and future challenges, I am sure, remain within our reach to overcome. There is therefore a need for a conceptual shift in how we view our borders. They must no longer be viewed as marked lines on a map, but as multi-domain operational zones which require clear intelligence picture much beyond borders and surveillance along the entire frontier. These areas demand rapid and simultaneous response across all domains. Our focus must move beyond just rapid projection to deterrence. Guarding the sovereign edge of our nation has to be an integrated whole-of-nation effort, and one solution does not fit all border segments. A customized solution for each border that integrates all resources of the government, keeping the people at its core. The arrangement so created, when required, can be the foundation for war-fighting readiness as well. As the world's fourth largest economy, our nation's comprehensive national power must be effectively applied across the dime-T domain, with our national strategic outlook serving as the overriding framework. This strategic outlook must recognize our borders as dynamic battle spaces of national sovereignty requiring focused attention. True strength across all domains is essential, and the intent, resolve, and urgency we demonstrate today will ultimately determine how we will protect our borders tomorrow. It is imperative that all stakeholders, especially the border guarding forces, continuously enhance their level of preparedness and capability, operating in a fully integrated manner across all domains to defend and fight effectively. So, in my opinion, the way forward lies in adopting a whole-of-nation approach, or rather a whole-of-stakeholder approach. We need to institutionalize multi-domain thinking, to invest in surveillance and rapid mobility of our border guarding forces. The same must be overlapped with the coordinated border area development plan, dual-use infrastructure like we saw in the Bharatmala projects as well. Policies must be revisited to effectively manage migration and the refugee crisis. In many areas of the Northeast, reverse migration is also necessary, and efforts should focus on encouraging people to return by making it more attractive through initiatives such as improved infrastructure, enhanced livelihood opportunities, better access to education and healthcare, and targeted economic incentives that make reverse migration both feasible and desirable. We need to encourage border area tourism and make the vibrant border villages our priority. Civil administrators operating in these areas must be sensitized towards national security challenges, as every timely action by them can enhance our nation's long-term security. For example, timely clearance given or a dual infrastructure project proposal passed may lead to long-term positive strategic implications. Similarly, our national security agencies need to ride on the technological overdrive being initiated by the Government of India. They need to upgrade, adapt, and achieve expertise in ISR, cyber, artificial intelligence, and other fields. All outputs then on could be shared in real-time basis with all those who matter, regardless of the color of the uniform one wears or from which ministry one belongs to. All uniformed forces need to create organizations and structures which are threat and terrain based, and hence are agile and lethal. In the case of the army, the newly created structures like the Bhairav battalions and the Rudra brigades represent a significant step towards this goal. Superimposed over all this should be integrated planning and operational logistic. Both factors combined will enable us to have a coordinated approach to emerging and dynamic threats, ensuring our transition to a better linked, reactive, and agile force. All these changes, of course, must be executed under the overarching ambit of exploiting new technology. Niche fields, for example, 3D printing, tunnel boring, etc., for infrastructure creation, artificial intelligence, big data, and quantum computing for faster sensor analysis and decision making, and exploiting the unmanned systems is a mandatory requirement to augment the human capability today. Systems based on new technology can be a force multiplier when we look at transforming ourselves into a battle space ready, cohesive, multi-domain force. Basically, we should change how we think, how we perceive border security, and then collaboratively work on our collective response. The will and intent to innovate, upgrade, and adapt could be the mantra for achieving battle space readiness. To conclude, in my understanding, our aim should be simple and uncompromising. We must synchronize our action from the planning stage onwards, thinking as one entity with ultimate objective to defend, deter, and dominate. On the border, defense remains foundational. Deterrence is the objective, and dominance in critical domain will ensure long-term stability on the borders. With this, I thank you all for giving me a patient hearing. May we all see our great nation rise to the glory that it truly deserves. Thank you once again, and Jai Hind.
General Pendharkar, thank you very much for that insightful address, which perfectly frames the neighborhood watch theme, demonstrating how stronger border management is central to India's regional security and operational preparedness. I would like to call upon stage Mr. Abhishek Kapoor, Senior Executive Editor, Republic, to felicitate General Pendharkar.